participate and have a lot of fun. It's going to be a super amazing night. Raise your hand if you think you could kick a football the farthest out of everyone in this room. A few of you, Aiden could, probably, yeah. Raise your hand. Just like, you run up and kick it. I don't know. What's that called in football? Like NFL football, just kick it. Yeah, maybe. Yes, Jaden, you think you could? American football. Yes. Because isn't football soccer in another state or another country or something? Is that what you're asking? Yeah, I know. Us Americans are weird. Raise your hand if you think you would know the most amount of quarterbacks in the NFL. Okay, Jacob, I see you. Aiden, okay. Aiden, how's your fantasy football going? Are you winning or 2 and 3? Okay. You can recover. Okay. Not bad. Oh. Ayo. Well, we're going to have a great time next week. Make sure you're here for that. Okay, so what we're going to do next is we're going to play a game. I need 4 groups of 2. So I need 8 people total, 4 groups of 2. And then if I can have 4 leaders come up and stand. There's 4 of you, so I'm going to need all 4 of you leaders up here. You don't have to talk. I just need you guys to keep track for your teams. So I just need 4 groups of 2 people. You are literally just working with whoever you bring up as your partner. You're working with them to solve something. It's super chill. You're not even going to have to speak in the microphone. You're going to be down here. So 4 groups of 2. It can be anybody. So you guys are going to stand in the front, and you guys are each going to get 1 group. So a group is just going to come and stand by you guys. And you guys can each pick like 4. Make sure they're appropriate. I don't really go through them. But just pick 4 of them. Okay, Ryan and Logan, will you guys be partners? And you can come stand wherever you want. Again, you don't have to talk in the mic. You literally are just standing by 1 leader, and they're going to be with you. Girls, Gigi, Zoe, do any of you guys want to be partners? Okay, amazing. Come stand by a group. Who else? Wes, who do you want to be a partner? Micah? Wes and Micah? Okay, come stand by somebody. And then I need 1 more group of 2. You know the awkward moment where you try not to make eye contact with someone because you don't want them to pick you? That's exactly what just happened. Carly and Kate, will you guys be partners? Yeah, you guys are purposely looking down. I know you guys want to be partners. Okay. So. We should pass. Are they all bad? Okay. He's saying these are all bad. Okay, so you're not going to read the cards. You're going to do something else. Give me these blue cards back. What I want you to do is take groups of 2. I want you to spread out, though, because I don't want them to be able to hear each other. So Chase, Logan, and Ryan, if you guys want to take that group, you guys can go over there. You guys have groups over here, so pick your groups. Ellie and Amazon, go pick a group of girls, and then you guys can spread out. Alan's going to take these guys. Okay, you guys also have to spread out. Go somewhere else so you're not super close to each other or here. So Wes, Micah, you guys go back there by the exit sign, by door 4. Okay. So what you guys are going to do is you're still going to compete with each other, and at the end of the time that I set, whatever your score is, whoever has the most amount of points, you guys are going to win. Leaders, you're there just to keep score and to figure that out, okay? So what you're going to do is you're going to ask, you guys need to pick the person that's going to ask the question first. So out of your partners right now, pick which one you want to be asking the questions. So you can just talk about it real quick. I know I want Logan to ask questions, or I know I want Ryan to ask the questions, whatever you guys want. What you're going to do, which I'm assuming just based on the groups, you guys know each other pretty well, actually. Ryan and Logan, you guys are pretty good friends. You guys are friends. Okay. So what you're going to do, leaders, is you're going to come up. I'm kind of putting you guys on the spot. You're going to come up with 5 questions that you think most best friends know about each other, or good friends know about each other. So you can look it on your phone if you want to. Just 5 basic questions. Now so Chase is going to ask the question. So for example, he's going to be like, what grade are you in? That's a really easy question. Since you guys go to school together, don't use that one. You're going to be like, which grade are you in? You're going to give Logan that question, and then he's going to ask Ryan. So you're providing the question for him. Ryan's going to answer, and you're just going to see out of 5 how many you get right. So if you know that they know each other well, be a little harder on them. Ellie, do you think you can come up with 5 questions? Okay. Easy. Amazing. You leaders are there to make sure that they aren't just saying the same answer, like they genuinely are answering the question correctly. Okay, are you guys ready? Leaders, do you have enough questions on your mind, or do you want to give me... Yes, so only one person is answering the questions, but leaders, you're providing the questions and the scores. Okay. Let me just pull up my timer here. Okay. Raise your hand if you'd say in life you have a pretty good friend that you could answer most questions about them and you know the answers. Anybody? A few of you guys? Okay. Okay, a few of you guys would? Yeah, I like it. Sam and Toby, do you guys feel like you'd know a lot about each other since you're brothers? You're claiming you don't know him. Okay, interesting. Some of you guys would. Okay. Leaders, are you guys ready? I'm giving you guys 10 seconds, sorry. Okay. When you're ready, get set, go. We're just gonna give you guys a few minutes. So ask them the 5 questions to the one person. They're going to answer them. Amazon's killing it already. Look at that. Amazing. You just pick one person. So Gigi's going to be answering them. You're giving her questions to ask her. She's the only one answering the questions. And you're going to keep score because she might get them wrong. Yeah. Logan, how do you feel you and Ryan are going to do? Okay, that's fair. How detailed will they be? Okay, that's fair. That's fair. How long have you guys known each other? 4 years. Okay, that's pretty good. You guys can start asking them. These girls know each other through church, so I'm curious how much they actually know about each other. Wes and Micah go to the same school. They're pretty good buddies. They live in the same neighborhood. And Kay and Carly are already killing it over there. So we'll give you guys about 2 more minutes, and then we're going to see who knew the most about each other. Jacob, are you a Vikings fan? Are you a Vikings fan? Yeah. How do you feel about how they're doing this season? They could do better. Luke, are you a football fan? No. Nick, are you a Vikings fan? How do you feel about that? Like, how are they doing this season? Not good. Jaden? Yeah. Okay, are you guys done? You guys coming up here first. They're still working at it. You guys, yeah, just you guys. Tell us how they did, and maybe some of the questions.
They actually got 5 out of 5. I started easy, which was the favorite food, which was their toughest one. It was their when he started motocross, which was when he was 3. His first crush, which we won't mention, which he got, and we did the whether or not he wore braces, and how many times it took him to pass his driver's test.
Those are some good questions. 5 for 5. That's impressive. Okay, you guys can go sit down. If no one beat you, we will get you guys a prize at the end of tonight. Girls, you guys don't look very hot right now. Ellie, how do they do?
3 out of 5.
3 out of 5. Okay, what were the 3 they got right? Do you remember?
Favorite color, how many siblings, and how many pets.
Okay. Do you guys feel like you know each other pretty well? You did pretty good. 3 out of 5 is impressive. No? Okay. You guys can go sit down. Thank you for playing this game. Amazon, how'd you girls do? 4 out of 5. Okay, okay. Carly and Kate, do you guys only know each other through school and then youth? Like, you guys... Okay, so it's kind of the beginning of something forever. Okay. Wes is shaking his head. No, don't ask me. How'd you guys do? You guys got 1 out of 5? Okay, okay. 1 more than you could have got. What question did you get correct? What grade are you in? Are you guys... Do you have any of the same classes? Kind of. You're the same grade. Okay. Well, you got the game last week, so you can't get them all. But thank you so much for participating. You guys can go ahead and sit down. Logan and Ryan, aren't you guys glad I made you come up here? You're going to get a prize out of it. See? You just never know when you're going to get it right. I'll make sure I get that prize after service. Thank you guys so much. Okay, question of the week. Even if you lost this game or you haven't even participated tonight, you can still get a chance to win something. The question of the week, which this should be easy. This should be so easy. I don't even know I'm giving a prize for it. What were the 3 mascots provided by EPEG at Autumn Fest? There were 3 mascots. What were they?
A pumpkin, this weird red thing, and I don't know.
Okay, you got 1.
A pumpkin, an apple, and a carrot.
Close, you got 2. You were one of them, so you should definitely get at least one of them right.
Pumpkin, apple, and Chick-fil-A.
What Chick-fil-A?
The cow mascot.
That's correct. Give it up for Luke. For the 80th time, he got the question of the week. Hey, next time. Raise your hand if you wore a mascot at Autumn Fest. Okay, I guess some of them aren't here tonight. Luke, you were incredible. Okay, wearing a mascot is not for everyone. Although I will say it was interesting when Luke the apple was eating apples. There was some questioning happening there, but it was amazing. Thank you so much, Luke. Incredible. And some of you guys weren't here. You'll have to be here next week. Make sure I see you after service so I can get you a gift card or a prize. Okay, grab your notebooks. We're going to finish up tonight's series, and then we're going to get into small groups. Zoe, I did not know you were a Packers fan. She just whipped out her jersey. Amazon, looks like you guys have some things to talk about. Okay. Who can tell me from week 1, we're on week 4, so this is a few weeks ago, maybe you weren't even here. Who can tell me the first series of bad things that happened to Job and his wealth and his people, his family? Kate. Yeah, so he had kids, and what happened to them? They all died. He had a lot of cattle, wealth. What happened to that? They all died. They were all destroyed. Okay. Week 2, Job 2, what happened to Job? Something happened to him physically. Wes. He got sores. Just in one spot of his body or everywhere? Everywhere. Raise your hand if you've ever had a scab or something, like a burn or just one thing in one spot and it hurt a lot. Imagine that, but everywhere, all over your body. Okay. Then last week, we found out that Job's friends came to him and they were having conversations with him. Can anyone just kind of recap quickly what happened last week to Job and his friends? What were his friends saying to Job? Because they were saying some stuff. Jaden. Maybe this happened to you because you sinned. Yeah. And what did they say about his kids? They think his kids sinned and that's why they were all taken away too. Yeah. So they had a lot of ideas of why Job was suffering. Okay. And last week we kind of touched on this, but in the middle of suffering, or when someone you love is suffering, or in the middle of things that aren't going the way that you thought they would go, people like to justify as to why that's happening. And that's what happened in Job last week. We like to have answers. So, for example, if something happened to Sam, Toby, his brother, because you guys, best buds, only brothers, Toby might justify to Sam, hey, this is probably happening because you did this. Or, oh, I know why this is happening. Is I don't know if that's really how you act, but it's really easy for us to want to justify why something happened. Imagine your sibling did something wrong. Now, this is more self-inflicted. And you're probably like, ooh, if you would have done your homework, you probably would have gotten a better grade. And then you wouldn't have gotten the consequence of not getting to go hang out with your friends this weekend. Siblings, we like to justify why things happen to our siblings. Good and bad, but mostly bad. So after Job's friends had really told him, hey, this is why this happened to you, God finally speaks up in Job chapter 38. If you have your Bibles, you can turn to Job chapter 38. And after Job and his friends have conversations, and after Job has a lot of questions, which we talked, questions are good, they're not bad. The Lord, everyone say the Lord. The Lord is finally about to talk in this whole book of Job. He's about to talk in chapter 38, verse 1. This is what he says to Job. He said, You have had your time to talk. Now it's my turn, and you better listen. And Job begins for 4 chapters. God begins to tell Job about all of these things that God has made happen, from the creation of the world to the animals that he created to animals giving birth, which is a little too soon for me, if you know what I'm saying. God begins to tell Job about all of these things that Job has absolutely no understanding of, but God knows every detail of. And God says, listen, I'm not disappointed in your lack of understanding, but you do not understand why these things happen to you. And then God continues towards the end of Job. He continues to talk to Job's friends. And when I say God kind of laid the law with Job's friends, he laid the law with Job's friends. And he basically confronts his friends and says, listen, you were telling Job why all these bad things happened to him, but you don't even know. And yet you're trying to tell him this is why it happened when that's not true. But God wasn't disappointed in Job's lack of understanding. God isn't disappointed in our lack of understanding. God knows and created so much that we will never understand. Raise your hand if you're sitting here right now and there is at least one thing that has happened in your life or in the life of those that you care about that you don't understand. Still to this day, like it doesn't make sense. Could have been the past, could have been recently. Okay, some of you guys do. God isn't disappointed, and instead he redirects Job's assumptions because God is gracious. Everyone say, God is gracious. And in the midst of all of our assumptions and lack of understanding, he redirects us. He redirected Job, and he reminds Job of what is true, that he knows, he sees, and he is in control. And that's why he has made all of these things possible from the beginning of time. This week, as we conclude this series, God may be redirecting you, someone sitting next to you, someone in your family, someone you care about. And when we don't understand, he knows. Job did not understand, and even to the end of the book of Job, and we're going to read the last few verses here in a moment, Job still never got a clear answer as to why these bad things happened to him, which we can see more of the picture because we know that Job and the devil or the accuser had a conversation at the beginning of Job, but Job didn't get to see into that. And so even at the end of Job's life, he never got the answers that he had questions about. He never got the answers. Raise your hand if your teacher never gives you the answer and it drives you crazy. Yeah, some of you who are failing in math, you're like, doesn't give me the answer, but he gives me how to get the answer. I just never get the answer. Job never gets the answers, but God reminds him that he is in control and he knows Job and he knows the situation of what happened. When you and I have unanswered questions, like why someone you love is suffering, why you are suffering, why your parents are going through this, fill in the blank, God is still in control even when you don't get the answers. And when you wonder if God sees what you're going through or what someone you care about is going through, when you wonder if he sees the hurt and injustice, he does see it. And he saw everything that Job went through and the things that his friends and family also went through during this time. Which brings us to Job chapter 42. And these are Job's final words to God. He says, Lord, you can do all things. Nothing that you plan can be disrupted. Surely when I spoke of things I did not understand, you still understood me. You know of things that are too wonderful for me to know. You told me to listen so that you could speak. You have the right to question me, and I have the obligation to answer you. My ears have heard of all the wonderful things you have spoken, and my eyes have seen you. Even in this misery and suffering, I have heard you and seen you. I repent of assuming I knew the reasons for my suffering because only you will ever know. The only point for you to write down tonight is that God invites us into conversations. I know it's kind of a repeated thing that we've talked about for the last now 4 weeks, but God invites us into conversations with him. He does not, he's not disappointed that Job had questions. He's not disappointed that Job didn't understand, but what he does say is, I know you don't understand because these things are almost too big for you to understand, but I still want you to talk to me. I still want to have a relationship with you. And if you guys look at the book of Job, Job's faith was greatly impacted by the things that he experienced, even though he didn't get all the answers. God invites you into conversations with him that have questions. God invites you into conversations about suffering, conversations about those we care about who are suffering, conversations about things we don't understand, and conversations when we are experiencing hurt. God invites us into conversations with him. Raise your hand if you've ever got an invitation to something really important or that you thought was cool. Okay, Clara, what was it? You don't know? Okay, think of something in your life that you got an invitation to, and you're like, this is super cool. Even if you're younger, I'll come back to you, but think of it. Wes, what's something you got an invitation to, and you're like, this is kind of cool. It's kind of a big deal. Valley Fair, favorite ride there? Wild thing. Okay, was it your friend who invited you? Yeah, okay. Who else? A time you got invited to something, even if you were younger, and you're like, it's kind of a big deal to me. It means a lot. Claire, did you think of yours? Not yet. Okay. Has anyone ever asked you like to prom or homecoming or anything like that? Not yet. You're like, I hope they do someday, but not yet. Okay. Seth. Oh, you weren't raising your hand? Okay. That's okay. Anyone else? A time you got invited to something was kind of a big deal. Valley Fair is pretty cool. I don't know if that one can be topped. Amazon? A wedding. Dang, did you go? Yeah, okay. You know, sometimes you get invited to it and you're like, I'm going to decline it. That's awesome, though. Logan. You got invited to Trey Tanner's birthday party. Was it like when you guys were kids or, yeah, was that a pretty big deal to you? Huge deal. I love it. Anyone else? A time you got invited to something, it was kind of important. You were kind of super excited about it. Alan, Ellie, can you think of something? My baby shower. Yeah, Alan wasn't invited. That was super fun. Yes, Alan. Yeah, you guys went on the mission trip in June. That's so cool. Anyone else in the front row? A time you were invited to something that you thought was kind of a big deal. Even if it doesn't mean it's a big deal now, but it was then. Anyone? Luke, can you think of a time? No? You never get invited to things? Or you do, but it's been a while. Okay. When I was a teenager, imagine that. Actually, I was probably more of a kid. Raise your hand if your siblings are kids. Like you have younger siblings, they're kids. Okay. When I was a kid, I was actually homeschooled my whole life. Fun fact. But when I was a kid, there was this after-school program where anyone who was 5th grade or younger, you went to this like community building basically, and you like hung out and had fun and ate snacks and all the things. Raise your hand if like it's kind of, you feel like homeschool kids are kind of weird. Anybody? Okay, right. So I kind of felt weird. Actually turned out pretty normal for being homeschooled, but I know what you're talking about. Some of them can kind of be a little weird. I can be weird sometimes too. And there were these guys at this community building, at this after-school program. One was named Evan, one was named Lonnie, and one was named Jade. I think we called him Jay, but his name was Jade. These guys went to public school, so first off, way cooler than me, in my opinion, at the time. And they played sports, so they, of course, were cool. Raise your hand if you know what I'm saying. Like, you go to school, you play sports, you're a guy, you're cool, or girl, cool. Okay. And it was, so this after-school program only happened 3 days a week. So on Monday, Jade, Lonnie, and Evan came over to me and my homeschooled friends, who are weird, right? And we're girls, so no one wants to play sports with girls at this age, at this time in life, okay? Like, we just weren't that great. They came over to me and my friends, and they said, tomorrow at this after-school program, will you, so they said it to me and my 2 friends, will you guys play basketball with us? And you guys, I literally went home and wrote this in my journal, okay? I'm like, today, Jade, Lonnie, and Evan, they invited us to play basketball with them tomorrow, and we said yes. Just so you guys know, I actually broke my pinky playing basketball with them. Clearly not that good, and it hurt a lot. But when I tell you, I still remember that as like an adult. They invited me to play basketball with them, and it was a big deal, even though I'm not that great. Raise your hand if basketball is your sport. You could easily show some people up. Okay, Callie and Sydney are the only ones. Logan, kind of confident. Okay. But it was a big deal to me that I got invited. Maybe you got invited to a birthday party like Logan said, or Valley Fair, or something in your life, and it meant a lot to you. And it's kind of cool because when we look at the book of Job and when we look at scripture, God invites us into conversations with him. And we have conversations so often that the invitation can almost get, its value almost seems like it doesn't matter. Like, oh, God invites me into conversations with him, and no big deal. But it does matter. And I want you to be encouraged tonight when you get into small groups that God invites you into conversations with him. You can just be there and you can just talk, and you do not have to have this pressure. Like, I felt so much pressure to be a great basketball player in the moment, and then I broke my pinky and it was awful. But there's no pressure. God just wants to talk with you, and he wants you to talk to him. Now, one thing I want to just leave you with tonight too at the end of the series is Job's friends were terrible. They were terrible at comforting him and encouraging him. They had to have all these answers, which their answers stinked. Like, they stunk. They were not great at all. What I would also encourage you to do tonight and to be reminded of is there are going to be times when people you love are going through something awful. And almost our first natural response or reaction to it is to have to justify and to tell them why it's happening and to have the answers. Can I just encourage you, you don't have to have the answers for the people around you that are suffering. You just need to be encouraging and a comforter, and sometimes you just got to listen. If Micah Manthai was put on the spot and his friend was going through something and Micah just had to come up with all the answers as to why his friend was suffering, Micah probably won't have the right answers. I won't have the right answers. Pastor Chris might not even have the right answers. Logan might not have the right answers. Gigi might not have the right answers. So I just want to encourage you. You do not have to have the answers for people as to why they're suffering. You can be an encourager and a listener. Okay, we're going to conclude with the final things that happened to Job in his story. If you have your Bible open, we're still in Job 42. Verse 10 is where we're going to start. So God tells Job, he goes through all the reasons, these are things you don't understand. Job responds, God, you are so wonderful. You're so good. I'm sorry that I kind of questioned and didn't understand, but I still love you, basically. Then the Lord, he also tells Job's friends, you didn't know the answers, and yet you were trying to assume why you knew them. And then we get to this part of the book. After Job had prayed for his friends, the Lord restored his fortunes and gave him twice, everyone say twice as much as he had before. All of Job's brothers and sisters and everyone who had known him before came and they ate with him in his house. His community of people, they came and they celebrated with Job. They comforted him. Again, encouragers, comforters. They didn't have to give him all the answers at this point. The Lord blessed the latter part of Job's life more than the former part. He gained more animals, more sheep, more camels, more donkeys, more oxen. All the things that he had lost, he now gained double of those. And in verse 13, yes, Micah, and also God blessed Job and gave him 7 sons and 3 daughters, which is the same amount we learned that he had in the beginning. So he's now given back them, but new kids. Just to clarify. Verse 15, nowhere in all the land were there found women as beautiful as Job's daughters. And listen to this, their father Job granted them an inheritance along with their brothers, which, just so you know, in the time that this happened, boys and men were the ones to get inheritance, not the girls. So God is like, hey, Job, I'm going to bless you, and then Job blesses his daughters and not just his sons. After this, Job lived 140 years. Everyone say 140. Raise your hand if you know 140-year-olds. Okay, Clara. He saw his children and their children to the 4th generation. Job got to live that long to see all of them. And in verse 17, and so Job died, an old man and full of many years. So tonight, I just want to remind you of the main points we've learned about the last 2 weeks. The first is that God knows us. Everyone say, God knows me. Everyone say it again, God knows me. Yeah, he knows everything about you and me. Crazy. Questions belong in conversations. In the conversations you have with God, bring your questions. I would almost like probably argue and say that there's not a question you can't bring to him. Like you can bring to him every question. He listens and he's there. Third point is that suffering doesn't mean I sin. Now, just so you know, there are self-inflicted things we bring upon ourselves. I just want to clarify that. But suffering doesn't mean I sinned or the person I loved has sinned. And then finally, God invites us into conversations with him. You guys can all stand up. I'm going to pray for you. I hope that you're just reminded tonight, for everyone who's standing up, I hope that you're reminded that it's so incredible that God invites us into conversations with him. It's such a big deal, and I hope you never forget how valuable that is. And then also, I hope that you give yourself some, like a little bit of relaxation. You don't have to have all the answers for your friends or for yourself when someone's suffering. You can just be an encourager and a comforter. One of the most annoying things to me is when something happened to me or something, I'm going through something, and my husband, Pete, everyone raise your hand if you know Pete, he tries to justify why it's happening. And I'm like, bro, I don't need that right now, okay? All I need you to say is, I love you, baby, you're the best, okay? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't need you to tell me why this happened. Because most of the time, it's probably self-inflicted, if you know what I'm saying. But be encouragers, be comforters. I'm going to pray for you guys tonight. You guys can close your eyes and bow your heads. God, thanks for tonight. Thanks for this series. Thank you for the life of Job. Thank you that you blessed him. And Lord, I know you're going to bless our students tonight in their small groups as they go to school, as they prepare for a great weekend. And we love you. We thank you for all you do for us. In your name I pray. Amen. If you are normally in Pete or Ian's group, you guys can go over there in the corner just for now. And then find your regular small group leader. If you are normally in my group, actually, you're with Ellie tonight too. So Ellie's going to take you ladies, and then the rest of the leaders will go with their normal groups. Have fun.